Welcome back to the deep dive. So, if you've ever felt like the traditional religious story is a bit, I don't know, confusing, maybe even a little distant, then this one is definitely for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at some really deep spiritual writings today, a lot of it from the work of Friar Richard Rohr. We're going to challenge that classic understanding of Christmas.
We really are.
Our mission here is to unpack a truly profound idea that Christmas isn't just a holiday, or a historical event. It's a fundamental theological statement.
A statement defined by one phrase, really. The abolition of separation.
The abolition of separation. That phrase is massive.
It is, because you have to remember where we're starting from in almost all religious history. And yeah, that includes a lot of Christianity's history. God is distant.
Right. Transcendent. Separate.
Totally separate. And you need mediation to get there. I mean, think about the structure of an old temple. You had the outer court, then the inner court, and then the Holy of Holies.
Separated by a huge, thick veil, a physical barrier.
Exactly. The whole idea is that God is above, God is beyond, and the two realities, human and divine, they just don't naturally mix.
So that's the classic duality.
Yeah.
You've got your sacred space and then, well, everything else. Profane space.
And the only way across that chasm is usually through, a high priest, a specific ritual.
Or a massive sacrifice, something like that.
Right. But the core proclamation of Christmas, the one thing that just structurally flips this entire worldview on its head, it's summarized in one sentence from our sources.
The Word became flesh and lived among us.
That's the one, John 1:14. And it's a line that it destroys the idea of the veil.
This isn't God just sending a representative, then.
No, not at all. Or like making a quick appearance, like a dignitary pausing for a photo op. No, this is the divine fully, physically, and, irreversibly integrating into human reality.
So it collapses the separation, not by tearing down a building, but by changing the very fabric of existence.
Yes.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Because if God fully enters human reality in this one specific instance, what happens to that dividing line, the one we've all lived with for millennia?
Well, the sources point right to Rohr on this. He says that in Jesus, that duality between the divine and the human is definitively abolished.
Abolished. Okay, that word has so much weight to it.
Yeah.
We need to slow down there.
We do. And it's so important to get the nuance. This abolition, it's not achieved by erasing the distinction. God doesn't stop being divine. Humanity doesn't stop being human.
Okay.
But it's achieved by rejecting the separation between them. The two natures are still distinct, but the wall that makes them enemies or, foreigners to each other is just gone.
Wait, so they're still different, but they're not separated? That feels like a contradiction.
Right.
How does that work? Can you give us an analogy?
Sure. Think about a piece of music. You have a melody and you have a harmony. They are completely distinct sonic lines, different instruments, maybe different voices. If you separated them entirely, you wouldn't have a song anymore, right? You'd just have two incomplete, kind of confusing sounds.
You lose the piece, yeah.
But when you play them together, they form one inseparable reality, the song. The abolition here means the melody and the harmony are finally recognized as one integrated composition.
That makes it a lot clearer. The distinction is still there, but the split, the separation, we now see it was, illusory or maybe temporary.
Exactly. And Rohr's insight here is just beautiful. He says, Jesus makes visible the hiding place of God.
The hiding place of God.
Yeah. And if that's true, it means the mystery of this divine human union, it's not disclosed in some remote heaven or an exclusive temple. It's disclosed right here in our ordinary, physical, limited human lives.
Wow. That completely changes the search. We don't have to look up or out anymore to find the sacred.
The sacred location is moved in. In Christ, divinity and humanity are shown to be one single unified existence. That long-standing split between God and humanity, the thing that's the premise for so many religions, it just collapses.
So, if that foundational split is gone in this one specific instance, if the divine and human are one inseparable reality in Jesus, then we have to ask the big question.
The revolutionary question.
Is this unified reality exclusive to him? Or is this meant to be a pattern for all of us? Because if it's exclusive, it's inspiring history. But if it's a pattern, well, that's our destiny.
And that's the hinge point of the whole message. It really is. If this unified reality just stopped with one unique person 2,000 years ago, then we're all still on the wrong side of the veil. We're just watching someone else pass through.
And nothing has really changed for us.
Nothing. But the sources are so insistent on this. This union is not meant to remain exclusive. Jesus is the exemplar. He's the perfect illustration of what human life looks like when it's fully integrated with the divine. He's not the exception.
But wait a minute. For so much of history, Christian teaching has really hammered home the absolute radical uniqueness of Jesus, separating him from the rest of us.
Yeah.
How do the sources use the same scriptures to argue he's the exemplar, not the exception?
Well, you have to look at a key text. It's from Colossians, chapter 1, verse 15. It calls Christ the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation.
The firstborn.
That term firstborn, that's the critical indicator. It changes the whole narrative.
Firstborn. That implies others are coming. It implies a sequence, not some
Yeah,
anomaly that can never happen again.
precisely. To call someone firstborn implies relationship, a family structure. It frames humanity not as outsiders desperately trying to claw our way in, but as well as younger siblings.
Wow. Younger siblings destined for the same inheritance.
The same pattern of integrated life. His existence demonstrated the potential of human nature. It showed what happens when the human and the divine cooperate perfectly.
That just dramatically expands the whole scope of the Christmas message, doesn't it? It's not just celebrating a miracle in Bethlehem anymore.
No.
It's celebrating the public revelation of a destiny that's available to all of us. A unity that is now fundamentally available.
And that shared destiny is exactly why the sources point to Jesus' own claims about unity later in his life. He wasn't just talking about himself. He was talking about what was available to everyone.
Right. He makes that profound claim about his own relationship. He says, the Father and I are one.
Yes, that establishes the new unified model.
But he doesn't stop there.
He doesn't. He immediately extends that concept out to everyone who follows him. He prays that they may all be one, as we are one.
As we are one. He's making a direct comparison. So the goal isn't just connection to God. It's unity like God.
The relationship of the Son to the Father becomes the prototype for our relationship with the divine.
And this whole movement, this movement toward a radical shared identity, it culminates in what is maybe the most startling affirmation in all the source material. It's that moment he's being challenged, and he throws this ancient quote back at his accusers.
Yes. That's the moment he quotes Psalm 82.6. He just says it, "You are gods."
You are gods.
It's the ultimate synthesis of the argument against separation. If the eternal word could become flesh, well, that means that divine potential is fundamentally inseparable from human life.
Okay, but when you first hear that, it feels like a massive leap, interpretively. How do the sources justify connecting an ancient psalm to this radical claim about our identity?
They argue that Jesus used the quote to show that the idea of humans as vessels for the divine wasn't some new crazy idea. It was an ancient truth that had just been, forgotten or marginalized.
So it moves God from being something we have to import
Yes, something we search for externally.
to an intimate presence that's already within our own structure. Which forces us to ask, if the duality is gone, then the barrier to unity must be
What?
psychological, not structural.
That's it. And if that truth is fully available, if the duality has collapsed and the intimacy is established, then what's the barrier now? If God is present, why do we all still feel so disconnected? Why do we search for purpose outside of ourselves?
And that's where the struggle shifts completely.
It does. And this is so relevant to how you, the listener, approach your spiritual life or just your daily life. The sources, they really compel us to conclude that our struggle isn't God's absence.
Because God is intimately present within our humanity.
Right. Our struggle is our simple lack of awareness of this inner presence. We're looking outside, spending all this energy trying to reach a place we've already arrived at.
And recognizing that presence.
Yeah.
That it's dwelling within us. That fundamentally shifts everything. It has to.
Oh, absolutely.
It changes your understanding of God from some demanding, distant judge to an intimate, unified reality. It changes how you see other people. And maybe most importantly, how you view your own messy, limited, beautiful humanity.
You move from a posture of separation and scarcity, always trying to climb the next spiritual rung on the ladder, to a posture of abundance, of inherent connection.
So you're invited to stop trying to get close to God.
And start recognizing the union that already exists.
So the invitation that Christmas offers, then, the one we're pulling from these sources, isn't just to believe some intellectual doctrine. It's an invitation to fundamentally alter how we live.
Yes, to operate not as distant seekers who are always looking outside.
but as active participants in the mystery of this divine human communion.
And this is where it all gets very practical. To really internalize this, the source material offers 3 specific reflective questions, and they bring this high-level theology right down to earth. They make it applicable to your daily routine.
Let's talk through those because they really force you to assess whether you're still living by the old rules of separation or the new rules of unity.
The first one is highly internal. It asks, where do I seek God outside myself or within my lived experience?
That really tests your daily assumption.
It does. Are you looking for God in a ritual, in a specific building, or some future event? Or are you accepting that your current moment, your frustration, your joy, that this is the place where God is disclosed?
I remember when I first heard that question, I realized how much energy I spent trying to build this external ladder to heaven, instead of just noticing the holy ground I was already standing on. It's a profound daily check-in.
It really is. And the second question immediately shifts outward. How can I recognize and honor God's presence in others, especially amid human limitations?
So if the divine and human are inseparable, then that presence has to be honored even when humanity is, well, messy,
Yeah,
flawed, difficult.
exactly. In the person you disagree with? In the family member who frustrates you?
That immediately grounds the whole concept in relationships. I mean, unity with the divine has to lead to unity with the human. You can't separate them.
You can't. And finally, the third question focuses back inward again. How do I respond to my own limitations, and what helps me live into my deeper human divine identity?
And this is maybe the kindest question of the 3.
I think so. Because if your flawed humanity is the very place where God is disclosed, then accepting your limits, your failures, your weaknesses, that becomes part of honoring your unified identity. It's not something you have to be ashamed of anymore.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means the Christmas message, according to these sources, is the final, total collapse of separation. It's the announcement that the relationship between you and the divine is not a bridge that needs building.
But an intimacy that just needs recognizing.
It's an invitation to recognize yourself right now in your present circumstances as an active participant in a reality that has already been unified.
And that recognition brings us to a final provocative thought based on this core idea we've been discussing. If the fundamental problem is no longer God's absence, since the sources argue that presence is already disclosed in your own humanity, what profound practical changes would happen in the way you approach conflict, or manage stress, or even handle a moment of quiet, knowing that the hiding place of God is already visible right where you are?
That's something substantial to mull over as you move forward.